What's good, y'all? It's Noah from Without Warning.
And we're back with another episode, and today we are going over the Rap Album of the Year Grammys for the past 10 years. We're going to be doing some correcting and maybe agreeing with them. You never really know. I will say this award is known for constantly getting it wrong in the past 5-ish years or so. That trend has super picked up. Make sure you're staying till the end of this video because a lot of the albums we're talking to at the end are just going to be some great albums that everybody loves, and there's going to be some hot takes back there. But if you're new here, like, comment, subscribe. There's also a bell next to the subscribe button. Make sure you hit that. But nonetheless, we are going to get right into it. 10 years from now, the album that won Rap Album of the Year was none other than My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And for the nominees, we have Lupe Fiasco's Lasers, Jay-Z and Kanye West Watch the Throne. Kanye was up for 2. Damn. Nicki Minaj's Pink Friday, and Lil Wayne the Carter 4.
Wow. Honestly, that's a crazy strong year.
Yeah, incredible.
With the Carter 4, and Pink Friday as well, and Kanye getting nominated twice.
Yeah.
That's
I like this though. I think Watch the Throne and Dark Fantasy, best albums from those are my 1 and 2, and then the Carter 4 is easily up there with all of those as well. It's just I think they killed it with all the nominations.
I might put the Carter 4 above Watch the Throne, to be honest.
I would have put that in 2011. I would have put the Carter 4 probably first here, but seeing how they've grown, I think Dark Fantasy stands on its own. Far ahead of all of these albums and pretty much any album that dropped in 2011.
Carter 4 just had so many bangers. Then that shit have How to Love, John, Mega Man,
everything.
All that shit.
Yeah, just straight bangers. But Dark Fantasy by itself has just grown to be the rap album for people. So personally, I would agree with this. I wouldn't change any of these nominations. Even when I go back to albums that I like from this year, it's always Dark Fantasy or Watch the Throne or the Carter 4 for me.
Yeah, all that being said, I definitely would go with Dark Fantasy as well. We debate Kanye albums on here all the time, but I do think that's his best album.
Yeah, especially
arguably the best hip-hop album, one of the best albums, period, ever. It's a good pick from the Grammys this time. They couldn't fuck that one up.
Yeah, exactly. If you couldn't pick it up if you wanted to, bro, respectfully. Next one we got is a 2013 Grammys for 2012 albums or late 2011. And Take Care took home this Grammy. Huge W for Drake at the time. This went up against Based on a True Story by 2 Chainz. That shit had the shit with that had No Lie. What's a birthday song? Shit like that. One with the big chain on the cover. Lupe Fiasco's Food and Liquor 2. Nas's Life is Good. Rick Ross, God Forgive, I Don't. And The Roots, Undone. Personally, they picked right here. That's back-to-back years.
I think they picked right here too. And to be honest, I haven't listened to all the albums on here, but I think that they kind of were forecasting a little bit with Drake's rise and knew that was going to go down as a classic. And that one to this day has, when you think of Drake's quintessential sound, kind of him going back and
Everything
forth between his melodies. Well, in some cases, he had songs on there Headlines where he was bringing that bragging, talking his shit.
Everything.
But then, you got everything. Crew Love, fucking
Marvin's Room,
exactly. Those deep ones when people would talk about draking and driving back in the day when you're really in your feels. I mean, we were in middle school when this came out.
But it impacted us.
Right.
We were young when this album came out. And even people that were older, high schools, colleges, this album went crazy for all demographics. So I would put this up there, and I would agree with this pick.
We're comparing this to Lupe Fiasco and Nas, The Roots, legends for sure. Yeah. And I'm sure those definitely held the strong place for an older generation. But for people like us, Take Care was, that was your first heartbreak. You were listening to Drake at that time. And but he also had the hits. The Motto was on that. Headlines.
Yeah, straight bangers. If anybody were to pick a runner-up for this, it would definitely be Undone by The Roots. I think many people think that's their best modern classic and a lot of people's favorite rap album for the last decade. But I would still Take Care personally. So that's a second Grammys W. Getting into the next one, y'all should famously know this pick. It's the 2014 Rap Album of the Year Grammys, and Macklemore's The Heist took it home over Drake's Nothing Was the Same, Jay-Z's Magna Carta Holy Grail, Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City, and Kanye West's Yeezus.
Yeah, so going into this, I was honestly surprised that the first two, we were kind of fucking with the Grammys decision.
I know.
I was going to say right at the intro that everybody knows notoriously 2014 and 2019, right?
Yeah.
Was the years that everybody just says wrong. And yeah, this definitely they fucked up. And there's been so much discussion on how bad it was for Macklemore to get that. I mean, we got to just focus on the greatness of the other four and debate between that.
Absolutely. Drake's Nothing Was the Same, Kendrick's Good Kid, Mad City, and Yeezus are probably top 10 albums all time for me. Literally some of my favorite albums ever. Good Kid, Mad City's I always say it's my favorite rap album ever made, and it'd be hard to not put that in your top 3 for all time rap albums. And like me personally, I would give it to Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City. I don't know about you, but even Macklemore said in his speech, Kendrick deserved this Grammy. This was an incredible body of work that Kendrick put out for this one. And to give it to Macklemore, the heist is insane.
Yeah.
Like, you definitely deserve to get all your credibility ripped away from you.
I know. It did a disservice for Macklemore for his career because at that point, people were fucking with Macklemore. He had Thrift Shop Out was a huge hit. He also had like Ceiling Can't Hold Us, Same Love, stuff like that. It wasn't for everybody, but a lot of people loved it. And then as soon as that Grammy decision came out, just a huge hate train on his whole career. But yeah, I would pick Good Kid, Mad City too, which is kind of crazy to say because that's not even my favorite Kendrick album. I don't think any of these albums from the four, from Jay, Kendrick, Drake, Kanye, are my favorite album of theirs, but they're all great. They're pretty much all classics.
Yeah. I think Nothing Was the Same and Good Kid, Mad City are my favorites. But this honestly, there was actually a time when this list dropped that everyone was super happy, or it was just like really surprised. Kanye fans were happy, but they were surprised that Yeezus got nominated. I don't know if people remember, Yeezus got shit on heavy by most publications and just most people in general when it came out. So when it was nominated for this Grammy, I don't think people thought it was going to win. But it was a W for them nominating it at the time. So looking back at it, like, it's a huge, innovative album.
Yeah.
So it's great to see that they actually nominated that. So that's a tiny W that you could see here. But the winner here, clearly not.
Yeah, one thing that was interesting about Yeezus is I think the year that came out, it was like both the like most critically acclaimed and like the most critically shitted on at the same time.
Yeah.
Like both fans and like professional critics were either giving it like the highest scores possible or the lowest.
Yeah.
But I think even compared to like Good Kid, Mad City and the other ones in this, I think Yeezus influenced the sound the most out of all of these. I would still give it to Good Kid, Mad City, but it's definitely insane overall how great this year was.
Yeah, like we could go on about a Yeezus versus Good Kid, Mad City conversation because I think they're amazing projects. But getting into the next one, 2015 Grammys. These are 2014 albums. The Marshall Mathers LP2 took this one home. This is not one of my favorite Eminem albums. I really didn't like this project personally. But other nominees that it lost to, other nominees that it beat were Iggy Azalea's The New Classic, which was a crazy nomination. Common's Nobody Smiling, Childish Gambino's Because of the Internet, Wiz Khalifa's Black Hollywood, and Schoolboy Q's Oxymoron.
Yeah, man, this was a weak year in terms of what the Grammys picked. Out of all of those, I would probably have to go with Childish Gambino.
You have to, because The Internet's an amazing album.
Yeah.
Like, and if you look at these 5 albums, don't get me wrong, Oxymoron's good. I like Oxymoron. Schoolboy Q is great. That's not his best album in my opinion, but Because of the Internet is a timeless hip-hop album. Like, if you could listen to that now and it sounds new to the ear, no one's been able to replicate that album. And to give it to someone like Eminem, who you've given 5 Grammys to, like, we didn't go early in this, but in the early 2000s, he dominated this category of rap album of the year. And to give it to him again on an album that is just not even like logically close to his earlier work in the early 2000s, beating people that are bringing new stuff to the table like Childish Gambino was kind of wild for me. Personally as well, I would put Pinata in the conversation by Freddie Gibbs. If anything, I think that would probably win for me. Like, I would take Pinata over Because the Internet as well. You also will see this trend that the Grammys tend to give back to people that they did wrong in the past. So his Alfredo got nominated like 2 years ago. Yeah, and they get shamed upon because they didn't put Pinata or Bandana in the mix. But I really like Pinata to win this one if the Grammys were really tapped in with Freddie. But given these nominees, you got to take Childish Gambino by a landslide, in my opinion.
So we're looking at 2014 albums here. So my favorite project that came out that year probably was Faces by Mac Miller, but that was purely a mixtape at the time. Wasn't getting considered, even if it was an album, probably.
Yeah, if you're talking about 2014, you have to have that in the mix, absolutely.
Yeah. But for these ones, I'm going with Because the Internet as well.
Have to. I can't talk good about that album enough. Definitely a classic. Now getting into 2016 album of the year winner, To Pimp a Butterfly. I think everybody like this should have won. This is
without
one of the
looking
best
at the
ever.
full list of nominees yet. I'm sure they got this one right.
Yeah, absolutely. 2015, just monumental project. It went up against J. Cole's 2014 Forest Hills Drives, Dr. Dre Compton, Drake's If You're Reading This It's Too Late, and Nicki Minaj's The Pink Prince. So this is pretty good competition.
It's a great year.
Like there's a couple people, J. Cole fans, that probably do think that shit should have won. Yeah,
man. I think back then I would have said To Pimp a Butterfly, and I'm saying To Pimp a Butterfly now. If you had asked me back then, I may have put 2014 Forest Hills Drive above If You're Reading This It's Too Late.
Yeah.
But since then, If You're Reading This It's Too Late has aged into probably my favorite Drake album.
Really? I would put 2014 Forest Hills Drive above If You're Reading This It's Too Late, and obviously To Pimp a Butterfly above both of them. When 2014 Forest Hills Drive dropped, bro, I thought that album was amazing.
Yeah, me too.
Like I thought like at the time that was like the best album I'd ever heard on the first listen.
That was a crazy first listen for me too. I mean, we were like 15 years old. You heard Wet Dreams into 03 Adolescence, and you were like, this is the peak of hip hop.
Yeah, like bro, he was spitting crazy on that album. Like it was just pure raps, and it was just like everything you needed from a rap album at the time. But then obviously things changed. This album, although it did age well, it did not age to the point of like me streaming it a ton like To Pimp a Butterfly and If You're Reading This It's Too Late did. So now I probably listen to those two more. But you cannot forget at the time in 2014 December when that album dropped, bro, everyone loved it.
Fact. This period of time too was the peak of when everybody's top three was Drake, Kendrick, J. Cole. And like that was the big debate.
Yeah.
They had like the memes, like the mind, the heart, and the soul or whatever.
And this was the separating factor. When Kendrick dropped this, everyone was like, Kendrick is undoubtedly top 10. Like if you don't have, when this album dropped, even like the month after this dropped, it was like, if you don't have Kendrick in your top 10 at this point, you're just objectively wrong.
Yeah.
And that was the album that